This is perfect. Okay, for anybody watching the video, and by that I mean we have not uploaded any of the videos in the last 4 weeks. Oops. YouTube is a little bit more of a challenge here. My mom has set up a Ellen DeGeneres type studio background on Zoom, and I'm wearing the pirate filter because it's Halloween. So, all right, this is how we're gonna do this episode. So this is Are We Having Fun? I'm Kaehla, and I have my mom as a guest this week. What's up, Mom?
Hello.
Mama
hello,
Mary,
hello.
the
Oh
Virgin
God,
Mary,
please don't.
mother
Please
of
don't.
4.
Please don't. I mean, I'll take the mother of 4, but please, let's not do the Virgin Mary thing. That's too scary.
So you might be wondering what happened to Stephanie. And well, the shit show continues here at Are We Having Fun? And by
Poor
that I mean
Steph.
she had a lot of fun this weekend at the Reggae Rise Up Festival in Florida. And then a bunch of work hit her that she had to catch up with. So she couldn't make it this week, which is why this episode is almost like a part 2 of last week. But we are just trying to get back on track, doing what we can. Stephanie will be listening to basically the story I was going to tell her about how California ended. I didn't get to tell her in person because we haven't been able to speak. So, Mom,
I know it seems like you guys never really have time to talk until you actually get on your podcast.
Yeah,
That seems to be the premise of your every conversation. It starts on your podcast like, how you doing? I haven't really talked to you. I'm like, you guys don't talk before you do this.
Not always,
which is good.
Yeah, it's the same way with you too. There's a lot that you have already heard where I'm randomly texting you as I'm walking around, and then there's a lot that you haven't heard because I honestly wasn't really going to tell you what I'm about to tell you for this podcast, but it's content and you're my guest. So,
Oh no. Should I have earmuffs on instead?
No. No, that's not the conversation. So I'm just going to jump right into it. But first off, must take a sip. This week, we have just partied our butts off. Me in LA, Stephanie in Tampa or wherever she was, Clearwater, St. Pete. I don't even know. I can't keep up.
I think she was in St. Pete.
So we're going to take a step back from alcohol, and my mom is on her lunch break, so we can't be having a real cocktail. So we have classic coffees. I'm drinking hazelnut with some half and half, and the lobby of my apartment just gives us coffee. So it's like donut shop flavored. That's what I'm having. Yeah.
I want that out in my lobby of my house.
Yeah. It's you got to get the boys on that. It's like an industrial grade coffee machine. What are you drinking? I saw your little unicorn cup.
Every day I'm sparkling. No, I usually, Dad bakes the coffee and I just drink whatever he has, or Matt and I will take a trip to Starbucks and we'll go get Starbucks.
Yeah.
Which literally almost every day. But I was kind of lazy and didn't want to get out of the house. So I found Vietnamese, little packets from the Asian store.
Oh my
gosh.
The
instant coffee, they're Vietnamese coffee. And they're really, really strong. Oh, it's good if you know how to make it. If you don't know how to make it, it gets really bitter. So you can't, if you're just starting, you got to use half. You can't use the whole thing.
Wow.
It's really good.
Think I've had Vietnamese coffee once. I'm not sure actually.
Yeah,
but I've heard of it.
Well, I've had people ask me if it's the same as like Thai coffee. You know how you guys like to go have that Thai tea or Thai whatever, Thai coffee with half of it like condensed milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this one's not like that.
Yeah.
Not at all. That's like dessert. It's like eating cake.
Yeah.
No,
I think I
this
would
this
like
one's
it.
opposite. You probably would. You probably would, but you gotta find a really good place to make it because you're not. It's really hard having a conversation with you with that eye patch.
Oh, should I take it? Should I take it off?
No, no, leave it on. Leave it on.
I honestly
It
forgot.
just
I got really into it. I really believed I was a pirate.
but no, it's fine. It's fine. But no, you gotta find I don't know if you'll even have this in Duluth, but you gotta find places that actually will have really good Vietnamese coffee. Because if
That's
you
a
don't
good
have a good
question.
one, don't drink it.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna come over. I mean, next time I'm home, I'm just gonna make you make it. That's
Yeah, which is in a
that's
couple
usually how it
months.
goes. Anyway, so yeah, I'll just come over. But I think that's the perfect segue into like finishing what happened in California
Oh
because
my god.
the places we didn't get to go were Koreatown, Chinatown, and I just discovered there's a Filipino town. So
Yeah.
I did not make it to any of those areas, but I was kind of writing them down for next time. And we just had a
Yeah.
super packed week. I can't even remember what I had done by the time we released our last episode, but we went to Santa Monica and Venice Beach like 2 or 3 more times since that episode
Oh,
released. So needless to say, those are our favorite areas. And then,
I figured you'd like Santa Monica a lot. I mean,
oh
you've been
yeah,
there a few times, but I mean, I to me that's probably where I see you guys, going.
yeah. We
It
we
would be
saw
that
people
area.
working out on the beach and we're like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this makes us want to do stuff." We like
Yeah.
swing is a word. We swung.
Swung.
We swung on a swing set because there's just like a playground for adults. I actually earlier on in the week was like, I wish, like, why do these kids have such fun playgrounds? I wish we had that for adults. Like, we still want to climb around. We need to exercise. Why isn't this a thing? And then Santa Monica, it's like a tourist trap anyway.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, it is, but still, I mean, that's really cool that they do have that because
yeah,
then
there were like adults climbing ropes and like
that's cool
swinging from
though.
like those gymnast rings, but like
Yeah.
almost like monkey bars. It was really cool. Like people were really serious and we were not. I might have recorded Parker trying to go on the rings, but it didn't last very long. Those
Oh my
people are
God.
really fit over there. So it got us
Yeah,
kind of like
most
hyped.
most of the people that you probably see in those parks are definitely fit people. I mean, you'll see a lot of them
Yeah. And then
running,
just, yeah,
biking.
rollerblading. Like it's so cool. And we kind of have like a bike path in Duluth, but who knows if it's going to be usable. Like it floods over there in the winter and it's going to be cold. So they had to restructure this lake walk for 2 years. That's how bad it was hit a couple of years ago. So when we first moved here, it wasn't even complete. So
I still don't know how you're going to handle the winter because you have not lived in that environment and since you were 4.
yeah, I think I'll be okay with the cold. It just everyone's making it sound so terrible with ice and hills. Driving.
Yeah, I mean,
I've never driven in that weather. So
I can understand because I do remember driving down hills when I was, younger, and I did not like it. That was
yeah.
probably my worst fear is driving down the hill. I would
Great.
rather drive on the highway on a snowstorm than
Then
driving down the hill.
down a hill and it's not really like I mean the snow
Yeah.
plows are pretty serious over here, but still like
No, you just don't know black ice. Black
yeah.
ice are scary
Yeah.
and it's cold up there. It's a different kind of cold though. That's what I'm saying. Because
Yeah, the lake.
Alaska, yeah, Alaska cold was not like cold to me. It wasn't windy
Oh, yeah, the wind.
and it's
I'm just gonna buy
dry.
ski masks and I'm gonna wear them everywhere. But I did think about, and this kind of segues into the other part. I did think about getting like a part-time job at the ski resort because I mean that sounds like a fun thing to do for the winter.
Well, that would be kind of cool, actually. Yeah, then you get to experience what it's like actually
And
working in a ski shop
yeah, and
or
get like discounts and go tubing down the hill. That sounds so fun. Free
yeah.
tubing, free everything except skiing and snowboarding.
Yeah, that's gonna
Maybe.
be.
I don't know what the requirements are, the availability requirements, but that kind of like segues back into how we ended this trip. So I told
Oh,
you about Culver City. Okay. We fell in love with Culver City. That's our second neighborhood. It's less touristy, but it is so beautiful. I kept sending you pictures,
yeah.
and we were there for the entire day, pretty much. Like we got there at like 2 p.m. I wanted to go to this pumpkin patch that's on the internet everywhere. You know, people take their Instagram
Oh.
photos there, but
They
it was sold out for the rest of the day. So we
had
couldn't get
tickets to
in.
actually
They
go.
had tickets. Yeah, because they're really strict in
Oh,
California about COVID and stuff like that. So I guess they had tickets and they were sold out. But Parker saw a park on the way over, and we're like, oh, after the pumpkin patch, we'll go check out this park. And the park ended up being a state park. Like it was like a regular park on the bottom, and then it turns into a state park at the top, and it's called Baldwin
oh,
Hills Overlook. And you see all the way to Hollywood, like the Hollywood sign. And then you look to the right and you see downtown LA, and you look to the left and you can see the beach. So it's like
oh my
you get the
gosh.
entire view of the whole entire city from this one
Yeah.
spot. And so it was the perfect central location. From there, we like fell in love. And like in the middle of the hill is like Culver City Little League fields, soccer fields. And so we're like, okay, this is where we raise a family, obviously. Like, we're just walking around and we're like, this is just a residential area. Like, this is just a normal piece of LA in the middle of all the touristy stuff. That's not like,
That's the thing about LA though. Like people think LA is just this nasty ass city with smog all over the place, and
right.
but you don't know like the tiny neighborhood out like on the outskirts of it. And there's some that's like right in the middle. I mean, if you think back, like Torrance is not that far
Yeah.
from
Is
LA.
Torrance a good
That's
area? I can't remember.
eh, it's older. It's got
Eh,
a lot of
that's
older
what I was thinking.
homes. Um, there's a lot of little tiny shops, like mom and pops. Most of their restaurants and their tiny little restaurants, which I completely like. But it's
Mhm.
one of the oldest city, I think, in the area. But I mean, I like Torrance. I don't know if you would, because it's definitely busier over there and it's harder to get to.
Right. Yeah, we might have driven through a little bit, but I know Auntie Miley used to live over there, and they
Yeah,
used to shoot a lot of like TV shows and stuff.
yeah. They
But
did the schools for Beverly Hills 90210, the original
yeah,
ones.
and
They
Buffy
actually,
the
yeah.
Vampire Slayer, I'll never forget that.
Buffy's house was there. Yeah.
I just think we want to live like obviously she lived there because the airport, but I think we want to live on the north side of the airport because then it's for me
It's not
less
as,
traveling.
yeah,
But
I think so too. I mean, it's nicer also.
we drove around that whole we drove up and down the coast, like all the way down to um like that little uh, they call it like rolling hills and stuff. It's kind of the part that jets out um
Mm-hmm.
underneath Torrance, like to the left
Okay.
of Long Beach. We drove all the way down there, and it was like surreal. It was just a bunch of rich houses, like $1 million homes, mile after mile. And we had no idea. Like we found this random overlook. They were bluffs into the ocean. And
Yeah.
then you look to the other side and you see these mansions on top of the hill, like way, way up. It was really crazy down there.
Did you catch the name of the area?
Yeah, Ranchos Palos Verdes or Ranchos Verdes. Yeah, Ranchos Palos Verdes. I'm saying
Oh,
it really wrong, but
yeah,
it's
I don't
so,
know.
I mean, I don't think people really talk about it much. And I think it's more low key, but it's like you think Beverly Hills is nice, you think Malibu's nice, which we explored those neighborhoods too. But it was like, it was overwhelming, honestly. I'm like, how can this many rich people live like in one area? Like just scouring for miles and miles and miles from Malibu all the
Yeah.
way down here. It's
Oh my God.
ridiculous. It
Well,
was
you got
it
to
was like
think,
overwhelming.
yeah, a lot of people that, I mean, these are people, of course, with money, not just
Yeah.
in the film industry, not just
No,
actors,
I think they're probably like
these
international business people or something.
probably, and this is probably their second home.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
One of their houses.
It's too much. It's funny though, because we did spend a lot of time in Malibu. So at this point, I don't think we had done all this when we released the last episode, but we spent a lot of time in Malibu and we spent a lot of time in Beverly Hills, like not on purpose. We just ended up finding a place we wanted to sit down to eat in both places. And it turned out like we were there for hours. Like we're just sitting on the beach in Malibu. We had no business there. And we go into this nice restaurant right next to it that's like, I get like a Caesar salad with fresh anchovies. Like, who am I? And I forgot what Parker got. He probably got like steak or something like that. But
You guys were so bougie, but I
we're so,
mean, that's kind of what the stuff you do. That's all there is there. I'm surprised you didn't like see anyone that's
yeah.
actually,
I mean,
famous.
we could have, but we just like we went where there were really no people. I mean, there were
Yeah.
some. I mean, they were somebody's because we could hear their conversations at the tables next to us. They were really loud, but I think they were probably like Desperate Housewives or something. I don't know.
Oh, who
But
knows? There's a
yeah,
lot of them over there.
yeah, we spent a lot of time in those neighborhoods, and we're like, okay, obviously, this is like a day trip type of thing. We're supposed to be looking for neighborhoods we're gonna live in. We're like sitting in.
Not in Malibu, like
We're
sitting
just
in a
like,
bougie restaurant.
yeah. I'm like ordering this fancy tea at Earth Cafe, which is like a big deal in California, and they have several locations, but we picked the one in Beverly Hills of all locations, and we're just sitting. I'm like, pretty sure we saw some people that we've seen on TV, but like it's just casual. You just come in and you sit down. But we had no business being in that location, but there we
Yes,
were.
you do. You had business there. You were looking for homes.
I mean, yeah, okay. We're literally walking down so Beverly Hills is walking distance from where we stayed, which was really cool. And by walking distance, I mean like 3 miles. So it was a long walk.
Yeah,
But we
yeah, no, that's a long walk.
we just like walked through the whole neighborhood. We stumbled upon the Beverly Hills sign, like the fountain, because we went to Rodeo Drive. Oh yeah, I sent you the picture of your favorite shops.
I
I go,
saw that.
my
I
mom's
was like,
texting
oh.
me. She's texting me the whole week, like, why do I have such expensive taste? And I'm like sitting in Malibu, like, Mom, get over yourself. Like, go buy some affordable shoes. And I'm sitting in Malibu, but she's sending me like $1,000 shoes, and I'm like, just buy them, whatever. If you want them, they're gonna last forever. You get your one pair. And then I see all these shops in Rodeo Drive, and I'm like, okay, if she sends me the money right now, I'll go buy her something. I'm not buying them myself. I'll have to put down a loan to buy these shoes, but I'm sure some people do that. But we're like, who
Oh,
shops at these places? Like they
I
just
don't
get,
know.
I think it's almost like touristy over there. They get some like rich tourists to come in and they buy these watches and stuff like that. Parker was obsessed with the watches because he sees his YouTubers wearing the watches.
Oh my God, he sounds like Matt.
Oh yeah. I wonder if Matt watches the same YouTube channels. That's funny.
I
Probably
don't
not.
know. That would be hilarious.
I don't think
Probably
so.
not.
But yeah, so that was like great. We like finished off on a great note. Oh, ended up back at Marina Del Rey. So we're going to the beach like every couple days.
Oh,
Marina
geez.
Del Rey is really fun. We like kind of bar hopped, and uh they had their Ohio State game, so we like had a watch party bar situation over there, and there was beer pong and we played flip cup. It was so funny. So we enjoyed that a lot. And then basically everything started going downhill when we left LA. So we shouldn't have left, but we had
Is
a
this the
little
whole debacle with the rental?
Oh
Still?
no. Oh no. So that was one thing, right? So that was one thing. We were upset about the rental because they were making it so difficult for us to get the rental that it wasn't even worth it. And then we had to buy a second rental on top of that. So that's why we were upset. So with the rental again, we were upset because we didn't know a convertible would be so much harder to get a hold of, or else we wouldn't have gotten a convertible. But obviously, it
Yeah.
had to be in my name to get a better deal. That's all we thought of. And then on top of that, it was a 200 extra fee on a credit card, which I didn't have on my credit card because I had been using my credit card. So had I known, I would have paid down the credit card and then it would have been fine. But I was just like, no, I'm just gonna allocate this little bit to whatever we do. I wasn't planning on using it for the rental. Then I'm like, okay, I can use debit. And they're like, okay, debit's going to be $500. And also, we're going to do a soft credit check. And we have to see your flight home. And you have to have a second form of ID, like your passport. And I'm like, okay, we didn't just come from the airport. And I didn't even
Yeah.
bring my passport. So I have a picture on my phone. That doesn't work. Like, basically I have to have my birth certificate or something to get this convertible. It made no sense. So then Parker couldn't get it because he wasn't of age for a convertible, but he could get a regular car. So we're like, okay, can we just switch it over? Oh no, because you ordered through our third party. So we can't do anything for you. So we had to fork out an extra $300 to get a rental, just a
So
normal car.
did you get your money back from the other one, from the other
No.
rental? Because you paid for it. You said you went through Priceline.
Yeah, so they have like a no refund policy. So we're really upset right now. We're
I
we're
would
over it,
call.
but yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out. And then on top of that, Parker couldn't just pay for it because his card is under his name, so they would have to transfer the entire rental to his name, which makes no sense to me. But whatever. Like if you're right there and you're gonna pay for it, it's like if you wanted to pay for my car, it would have had to be transferred to your name. And then they would
Yeah.
have had to add me as a driver instead of me just being the driver. So
Right.
it was just a lot all at once. But anyway, we got over that. We got a rental. Nika helped us out. My cousin helped us out and we borrowed her car for a day. And then from there we just like Ubered or like walked or we got a ride from our friend. So it was all fine and dandy after that. But when we were leaving, so we were eager to get home because our friend who was watching our cat is ready to move on to a different job, and then he got thrown into some training at the last minute. So we're like, okay, we need
Oh.
to get back to Pumpkin. And then so we get so we get off the flight. All right, first of all, we're not even sitting together because we didn't pick our seats, and then all the seats are sold out that are next to each other. So
Oh God.
but Parker gets put into the premium seating on Spirit. Not I'm doing air quotes on the first class thing because you don't get any perks. But he got put into seat 2D, so it doesn't get better than that. And then I got put into 7E. So I was pretty far up. So it wasn't so bad, for not choosing the seats. Parker really enjoyed where he was sitting. He was like, the guy next to me didn't even have to like tell me to move into the aisle so he could go to the bathroom. He could just get up and go around me. It's awesome. I was like, yeah, we're always flying first class from here on out. No, so that was like a happy accident. But we get home, okay. So our our friend who had our car had to go out of town because Parker's brother and a bunch of their friends were like doing this mini vacation, and I guess like we didn't think that through or something. I don't know. So anyway, he had to go out of town. So he was going to give his key to his girlfriend. Then she ended up going out of town. So they had to give his key to a coworker. So we had to like get to the campus where they work, because they work at the college, and then like get the key from him. And then from there, he lives right down the street. So we get the key, and that was no problem. Like we kind of mastered the whole train situation in Minneapolis. So we're pretty proud of ourselves. And then we get an Uber to, oh my gosh, we get an Uber to the house because it's 35 degrees at this point in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. That's
So
cold.
we get into the Uber, and the guy goes, Jake, you know how they always say names to make sure that it's
Yeah.
the right person getting in the car? Parker's putting the suitcase in the trunk. He's the one with the Uber. So he checked the license plate himself, whatever. And I just got straight into the car. And I was like, Parker? Like, Jake, like that's a little fishy. And then he was like, oh, yeah, sorry. My last passenger was Jake. And then Parker gets in the car, and I'm like, did you check the license plate? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, this guy's sketching me out. Like,
oh my God.
so then he starts going, oh, where are you going? And from a passenger standpoint, especially someone who has had a debacle with Lyft, and I've had to call them and get someone fired,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, we're getting dropped off at a friend's house. Like, I'm not going to tell you that it's my home, first off. And second off, like, this is a little weird. I'm going to be on my, guard. And he was also being on his guard, because he was like, did you hear what happened last night? And we're like, no, we just got back from LA. So, like, what happened? And he was like, 3 lifts were hijacked in Minneapolis over the weekend. So
Oh
now
my
I don't drive
God.
at night, and I'm like super on guard. And we're like, oh my gosh, like that's
Oh,
crazy. Like,
no wonder
Minneapolis is
he was like,
wild.
that's crazy. Of all places.
Well, I mean, Minneapolis has had quite the year. So it's just crazy to come from like LA, where we didn't think twice about any of this stuff, even
Yeah.
though it's LA.
Yeah.
um the craziest part about the Ubers is like everybody who drives is really aggressive
Mm-hmm.
naturally,
Yeah.
which they're like that in Minnesota too, but like that was the only comment we had. And we're just like, oh my gosh, that's scary. So then it gets funnier, because when we get close to the friend's apartment, the apartment's on one side, but we parked down the street. So we just had him let us out at the stop sign. So probably to him, it seemed even more sketchy that we're like, just drop us off here. And then we started walking the other direction before he even, because we didn't want to walk the extra from his apartment down to our car. So we start walking, right? We're like, that was a weird Uber. We start walking. Parker's phone is dying. Okay. It's at like 5% at this point. And we almost make it down to the light at the end of the road. And Parker's like, I would not park this far. And he's notorious for parking far from this apartment, because we go to this guy's house all the time. And I'm like, yeah, Parker, like, I know we parked past this house I always look at as a landmark on the way into
Mm-hmm.
our friend's apartment, but like, you did not park by the stoplight. Like, you drove down further away. Um, so then we start freaking out, and I circle back to the house that is like halfway from where he parks to the friend's apartment. And I see like these plants on the side of the, like on the curb.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, shoot. Like Parker's car is gone, because he always parks by these plants, either right in front of the plants where I'm trying to get out and I'm like pushing the plants aside, or
Yeah.
just right in front of it. So I'm like, oh no.
Oh.
And he's like, I think my car's gone. And so at this point, we're exhausted and we were so ready to be home. And the first thing I'm thinking is someone hotwired his car and stole it. We're near the college. Someone pulled some fast one and we're never going to see this car again. So how are we going to get back to Duluth? I'm thinking, okay, now we're going to spend the money to get on the shuttle from the airport, which we have to get on the train, go back to the airport, take a shuttle back to Duluth, and then Uber from the airport to our house because now we have the car key, and then just go from there. I went to like the worst case scenario. Parker is like, let me check the impound lots in the area. Oh, they have my car. And we parked in a neighborhood where the first thing we asked our friend was, will the car be towed? And he's like, no, they don't do that. But the car was towed.
Oh my God.
And before the friend left, he was like, I didn't move your car. So we don't know if that would have made a difference or not, moving the car down the street, but it's in a residential area. They towed the car. And we get to the towing place and Parker's like, well, after everything this week, like my phone's dead. I can't like get any extra money out. Like, Kaehla, you're going to have to pay for the towing. So I'm like, okay, cool. Was going to buy groceries, but we're going to get this. Now we're going to get this car out of the lot. So whatever, Parker's like, I already know this is going to be a hassle. They're not going to make it easy on us because you're paying for it. It's my car. It's not even in my name. Something's going to go wrong. Well, it ended up being really easy. So I'm waiting in this office and it's almost like being at the DMV or like, you know, where you go to pay your tickets and stuff. It's not a fun place to be in the first place.
No. Yeah.
I'm exhausted. I'm listening to some guy rant about how his car had been stolen and now he's trying to get it back and they destroyed his car and he was mad and the energy was getting worse and worse and I was really trying not to like feed off of it, but finally I just like, Parker's like, I'm still waiting for this shuttle to take me to the actual lot where the car is so I can pick it up and then come back for you, and my phone's dead, so like we're just trying to like stay in one area, make it really easy. But I'm like, why don't I just come with you? Because then once we get to the lot, if it's being that difficult, then we can just leave from there. Yeah. So this van pulls up and he looks at me and he goes, I can only take one of you. And he has this like a minivan. And so I lose it at that point because I cannot be in this little office anymore. I'm like, okay, I'll just be over there. And I just walk out to the side of the wherever we are. I'm just like in this open lot where people are kind of like pulling in to come retrieve their cars. And I just lost it at that point because I'm freezing. I'm tired. I called Daniela and I just started bawling my eyes out. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like literally every time I go into Minneapolis, I am crying because I'm so frustrated with something that goes wrong every single time. Like it never fails.
It happened last time too when you flew down here.
Well, it's not even just like when I'm flying, but even when I'm driving, when I'm working down there, I'm yelling into the phone at Parker, like something's always going wrong in Minneapolis. So it's also a lot of fun, but it's also really frustrating. So I'm just like crying. People are walking in, they're looking at me, they're like, what? And I'm like, I never feel safe here. I just like went to an extreme. Like, I'm just like, Parker's phone is dead. I can't move because he won't be able to find me and I don't know where I am. And Danielle's like, why don't you just like go into a Starbucks? I'm like, there's no Starbucks over here. It's in the middle of nowhere on the side of the highway. Like it was just, I just like had enough. Finally, Parker gets there like 10 minutes later. And then I was like, okay, Parker's here. I'm going to stop crying now. And I get myself together and he's like, how are you? And I was just like, I want to go home. He's like,
See, he
okay, we'll get
is
you home.
like the complete opposite of the Gemini part of me.
Yeah, he
You
is.
know, he is. He's just so calm and chill. And like with me,
Yeah.
I would be like, you know,
Yeah.
enraging.
Yeah. Well, same with Danielle. She was like trying to balance me out because like she was like, I was kind of in the middle of something. And then I was like, uh-oh, like she's not doing well. So she was like, I was like, Danielle's about to be a mom. I'm gonna call her. Like she was like, calm down, you're just tired and you're gonna be home soon. And then so then Parker was like, well, I had to text my mom, like, I need some emergency money for this towing. So, like, do you still want to go to Trader Joe's? Because that was the whole plan, was to come home, go to Trader Joe's, because that's where the Trader Joe's is, buy some bananas and almond butter. We're gonna start eating healthy. We're gonna save some money. Like, we're gonna eat at home. And then everything was just derailed. And I was like, no, let's just go home. And I just had him get on the highway. And then, like, I'm like, okay, the Trader Joe's is actually on the way. So can we stop there? So we got some groceries. And then like we got home and everything was fine. And then he was like, what would I have done without you? Because obviously this is his car. Like if we weren't together, he would have had to do this alone. And I was like, you like at this point we're just totally over it. Trader Joe's reset us. We had Chipotle.
Yay,
Like
yay, Trader
yeah,
Joe.
Chipotle was our meal for the day. And then we're just like all good now. And I was like, you probably would have been ranting to me for much longer than if we were not together, you know? Like
Yeah.
we got over it really fast because then we didn't have to like come home and rant to each other.
Yeah, you just got it out of the way.
Yeah, just get it out of the way. So anyway, that's my California story. That was a long story,
That was
but
not a California story. That's a Minnesota
that's a
story.
Minnesota. Yeah.
I
So
mean, the California story was more fun, aside from the whole
yeah,
debacle with the rental. But you know, that's just like you landed literally, and then shit just
hit the fan.
hit the
We knew
fan.
it was going to happen and it just crashed really hard.
And the thing is, you know, you had it in your head.
What?
You've had it in your head that something was going to happen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I
So
knew.
you spoke into existence exactly what you were, you know, what you didn't want to happen was something awful to happen. But you know, your subconscious mind is so strong sometimes, and it just does its thing and you don't even realize it.
I'm gonna manifest good things. Well, actually, no, because good things are happening. Because in Minnesota, I booked a movie, so that's
Yeah,
cool.
that's
And they
good.
find like it's concrete now. It's kind of been like, did I really book this? Because I know it's happening, but
Yeah.
now it's like showing online and stuff,
Oh
and they're
my gosh.
actually
So
shooting.
yeah.
On that front, it's good. But like this next, I've just had it in my head, like as soon as we get back from LA, it's gonna be super stressful. And that's all it's been. So maybe you're right about the
It,
putting my
it
mind
and
to it.
and that's the thing, you know, going back to your age at that time where I was, the age you are.
You
I
were having a second child.
I was having the second baby. No, I just had her, really.
Oh my god, yeah, because she just had
The,
her birthday.
yeah, so it would have been, yeah, the 20th, because I was
Oh my
26 when I had
god,
her. So
21 years ago today, basically.
I mean, that's you think about it. I was two kids in by the time at your age that you are now. So
Yeah.
my stress level is a little different than your stress level.
It was maybe similar, but like in a different
It's
way.
exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
it was different in a way because I had to make sure, you know, I'd make sure two kids stay alive every
Yeah.
day. And with you, it's just, you know, you have had just so much happening at one time. Like it
Yeah.
just happened at once. It was like a domino effect. And I don't know, to me, when that starts happening, I usually just take a step back for 1 second and just go, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Is like, is the universe got something against me today? What the hell did I do?
Right.
Because usually when things, thing happened to you is a product of something that you did, is a product of something that was happening behind in the background. So like the manifesting a situation, I know, as bad as it says, it's not your fault, because it isn't your fault, because you don't know what's going to happen. But any kind of energy that you put in your mind, in your head, subconsciously, because you're subconsciously, your subconscious is so much stronger than your conscious mind, and it's constantly working in the background. And I think when we think of things constantly over and over again, or that's our expectations, that's what's going to come out. So maybe that was a good sign. That was a good thing for you to go through, because you have to see the other side of it.
Yeah.
Of what happens when you do get that way, because it's something
I definitely had to release it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's not a bad thing. There's, like Dad said, there's something on the other side of suffering, but you got to go through that suffering to find out what that is. So now you're like, okay, I need to really reset whatever that is, whatever you need to reset. That was probably your point to go, oh fuck, okay, time to reset. that was it.
And no regrets to like going to California, because that was us, like, actually now we have a concrete idea of where we want to be and what we want to work towards. And it's like, obviously, right now is not the right time to be over there, but we had these memories that we're gonna cherish forever at the same time. Right. And it's like, now we're resetting in the sense that we're like, all right, like, we realize that we can't just be going out to dinner every day, even at home. It racks up, like, if your friends want to go, even like play, we have axe throwing or something, like little activities, they all add up. Yeah. And so we're like, okay, now it's time to grind. Like, we know what we want. We have a couple areas where we're not going to be working and we're going to be out of town, but that's for family, that's for holidays. Like, we can't avoid that. So we know to expect that. But other than that, like, after Halloween, like, no, like, we're not allowed to do anything, because like, we need to focus. So it was like a reset moment in that way.
Yeah, well, maybe you guys really haven't really like had a goal since you got there, because you kind of just need to move, because Parker needs to do what he needs to do to get through what his goal is, which you had to get that done. And he's getting there. He's slowly, finishing that up.
I mean, it's almost, it's coming faster than.
But now you can see, like, okay, I don't want to be here. This is not where I want to be. This is where I want to be. And now this is what I got to do to get to.
I think part of that point too is like not just hating every minute.
It's you gotta let it happen. And the only thing that you can do is just be you. And that's the least stressful thing to do, is be yourself.
Yeah.
So, and I think you mentioned that on your last episode, on your last podcast, and you'd say, oh my gosh, I heard it somewhere else, that you worry so much what's going to happen that hasn't happened yet. And you're stressing yourself out over something that doesn't exist.
Yeah. I've definitely said that somewhere along the way.
Yeah. And the thing is, and it's taking, I'm freaking 47 years old. It's taking me this long to figure that out. And you figured it out a lot, younger than I did, 20 years younger, 20 years before I figured it out. But just from at this point of my life, and I don't have a lot of time, I don't have a lot of time left. I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time to worry about things that I have no control over. I really don't. And I find myself like stressing over those things, like work. if something bad, I'm like, what am I going to do? There's nothing I can do about it. I have to let it be, let it go, and let it work itself out. And the same with any kind of situation, like relationship with other people. You can't control other people. You can't, you just have to let it go. You just gotta let it be and accept it for what it is. Because once you do, you kind of just like, it's not on you anymore. You're not responsible for it. And that's, I think that's probably one of the downfall of, like, I don't know, and astrology again, like air signs, we tend to carry other people as our responsibility. So somebody else's feelings, we feel like it's our responsibility. So we're constantly trying to make them happy, taking care of them, blah, blah, blah. And then it becomes stressful to us because we're not making them happy, but it's not our job. Mm-hmm. That's anyone that you come across in your life, rather, even if it's a stranger.
Yeah.
I let that go.
That's so I don't think funny is the right word, but I say funny when it's coincidental, because that is the theme of what I'm going through in like a career sense. You know, I'm putting myself out there, and I have to pitch myself as a person as well as a professional. And if you're not down for my goals and who I am, then that's okay. And you move on to somebody who is. And it's been like something recurring that you've just kind of like spoken to like put a solid touch
so when
on
it's it. Like okay, so the next time like that happens, you see a recurring sign and it's not settling right for you, and you know that feeling keeps coming back up over a situation, and even if it's a different situation, but it's the same feeling keeps coming back up. Like think of it as like a trauma response. Mm-hmm. So when a person is traumatized, even though they're not in that environment anymore, there could be a trigger elsewhere on a different environment if they have not dealt with that. And so that's probably, you know, what it's trying to tell you. It's like, hey, you keep having these feelings because you haven't dealt with it when this happened to you over here. So when you move over here, it's going to come up again because it's kind of the same trigger, different situation, but you don't know how to react to it yet. You don't know how to let it go. You haven't dealt with it. So if it's a recurring thing, it's trying to teach you something.
Interesting.
It's trying to teach you something like, okay, what is it about me? Because again, everything now to me that goes, anytime something don't go my way, and I just go, okay, why am I getting pissed or annoyed over this? Because how I'm receiving this is because of how I'm thinking and feeling. Mm-hmm. It's not the person, because it's not on them, it's on me. So once you take that responsibility, then you kind of go, I can't blame anyone else about how I feel. I have a choice. So like that goes with any stress. So when people start telling me about how stress, or, you know, like I get stressed out still, and, you know, dad tells me like, you're stressed out over nothing. Then I take that, I'm like, am I really stressed out over nothing? And then usually it's like, yeah, I am. I'm not going to die. If that shit doesn't get done, it doesn't happen, I'm not going to die.
Yeah.
You know?
So I have a question on that, because I find it interesting that you said what you said about the recurring thing and triggering and having to deal with it. So asking yourself, like, why am I feeling this way towards whatever is eliciting some kind of response? Also, do you ask yourself, like, how can I move past this, or what can I do to move past this? So I want to know from your standpoint, what do you do? Everybody does something different, but I find it interesting that you brought that up, and I'm thinking of things we didn't even talk about in the podcast that are just relevant to this conversation.
So, you know, we all have different, and now I'm going to say downfall, but like, you know, we all have that part of us where we don't want to be the person, like you don't want to be the jealous person, because that's not really a good feeling to have anyway. you don't want to be a controlling person. You don't want to be this person, you know, like you don't want to be a bad person. So when I start getting annoyed over someone that's acting in that sense, I always, you know, I ask myself, like, okay, what is it about this person that is making me uncomfortable? Or is it me projecting how I'm actually feeling to this person, and I'm misreading what they're trying to say? So I take a step back. I'm like, what is it really? If is it a word that they said? Is it the way they carry themselves? Because you know, like arrogant people gets to me sometimes. I don't like arrogant people, but
which you probably deal with them on the daily.
which I do deal, yeah, I deal with that on a daily basis everywhere I go. I mean, everywhere you go, you deal with arrogant people, you know, and I laugh at all these like Karen videos that you see, because these are just arrogant women that don't know better, because if that's just how they grow up. So and sadly enough, it usually always ends up going, okay, is this something that I went through? And I'm taking that feeling and putting it on this person. Okay, now I need to take a step back if that's the reason. Why? Because it's not that person's fault that I'm feeling this way. So I have to stop. I just have to stop and tell myself, okay, this is not about them anymore. This is about you. So now you've got to go back sometime along the way in the near future and really dig deep into why you're feeling that way at that moment with that person.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I can talk a lot about
this was a great episode. And I feel like it was almost like a part 2 to last week, because obviously we needed to take a step back last week, but now we're really in the act of taking a step back versus like preparing to take a step back.
Well, that's good. That's really,
yeah,
that's a really good idea, because
and I know
you guys
Stephanie's gonna love this. Yeah, I know she's going to love this whole conversation, and she loves you and we love her. So, and she was really excited, 4 exclamation points, when I told her that you were going to be on the podcast. So thank you so much for coming on. This is Mama Mary. I'm just kidding.
Oh, please don't do that. Please don't say that. It's Mama
for
Mary,
another episode of Are We Having Fun? Please continue to review. Mom, tell your friends to review our podcast on Apple Podcasts.
You just continue to do what you are already doing, and in time you're going to get exactly what you want.
Yeah. So we're not going away, people.
No, just keep going. People are going to listen.
Do you want me to plug your Instagram? I can put it in the show notes. Or whatever, your IMDb. I don't know.
It's okay, but yeah, so but I do love filming. That's really my favorite thing to do, being behind camera, and hopefully I get to direct soon. So right now I'm just producing a lot, as much as I can.
Producing is like the top of the top.
I know, but I want to be in a director's chair too, so I can tell people what to do.
Yay.
But yeah, so Kaehla and I are working on a project, so you can plug that.
Hey. Okay.
That's because, you know, we're gonna need sponsors for that movie.
True.
But yeah, so Kaehla is actually one of my actresses in one of the scripts that we're working on right now.
Yay. Thank you. That's how it works, right? You just put each other in each other's projects.
That's right. And then, you know, your cousin is one of the producers, and he's also the AD. So
I love that. Yeah. So we're working on the writing process right now, and I'm not sure if it even has a final title, but watch out for that kind of stuff, because I will be sharing all that when we make it totally public. And Fierce Orchid Productions is in charge of it. So that's the local production company in Orlando that my mom has started. And we're working on making it legit. So
yeah, it's going to be legit. The script itself is, we follow industry guidelines actually, and industry standards to make this script viable, not just for independent filmmaking, but we want bigger studios to see this, and if they want to pick it up, then there's not a whole lot of changes that needs to be done to it. But yeah, the script's almost done as far as the first series goes. So
Yay.
we'll have episode 1 happening soon. So I can't wait to start filming this one and start planning. We're starting to plan on it now, but it'll be a great success the minute we get on set and actually start filming. Like, oh, this shit's happening, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a thrill. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I know you have to get back to work, and I have to do other things. So,
well, thanks for having me. And I hope today is a good day for you and Stephanie, even though she's at work. So she's listening.
I'm sure it is for her. It is for me. This has been an awesome day so far because I'm, just doing the podcast. So
yeah. All right. Well, I love you. I got to get ready. We'll go back to work.
Love all of you. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
We go on no matter what. Even if I can't make it, I will force Stephanie to record without me. So we cannot be stopped on this podcast.